One candidate who will not be on stage with the other two is RFK Jr. To qualify, Mr. Kennedy needed to earn at least 15% support in four approved national polls. By Thursday, however, he had only three such polls, one from CNN, one from Quinnipiac University, and one from Marquette University Law School. Mr. Kennedy also needed to be officially on the ballot in enough states that he could win 270 votes in the Electoral College, the threshold for winning the presidency. As of Thursday, Mr. Kennedy had less than a third of that number, according to an analysis by the New York Times. He is officially on the ballot in only 6 states: California, Delaware, Hawaii, Michigan, Oklahoma, and Utah, totaling 89 Electoral College votes. Mr. Kennedy has accused CNN of colluding with the Biden and Trump campaigns to exclude him from the debate, and he filed a complaint to the Federal Election Commission accusing the network of violating campaign finance law. Farron, is it collusion or is it just the numbers? Is it just numbers?
It's a numbers game, and the numbers are definitely not in Bobby's favor there.
The video will continue in just a moment, but first I have a message for you. TYT needs your help. Membership is vital to survival, so please go to tyt.com/team and become a member today.
And just, for full disclosure here, Bobby Kennedy was actually one of the original co-hosts of Ring of Fire, which I now host. So I did work with him, distantly. He was in New York, I was in Florida for about 10 years. And I'd met him only a couple of times. And what's very weird to me is that the Bobby Kennedy that we see today is not the Bobby Kennedy that I booked guests for and would occasionally see at, meetings and whatnot. So it's really difficult to see somebody that you did know, at least partially, for a decade, and 10 years later, they're this whole different person, right? This was before the anti-vax stuff. This was before all of the, right-wing talking points that he's spewing out. He was a real progressive at the time. And now I don't know what he is. Like, I don't know this guy at all, but I will also say, I do not support his candidacy in any way. However, I do think he should be on the debate stage. I think anybody that is actually going to be on a ballot for president, I think they should all have a seat. I do think the public should get to hear from these people, and maybe not because maybe they'll support them, but I think maybe it'll kind of weed it out a little bit more when people see some of these other folks and they're like, oh, wow, okay, this is kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I'm gonna not support this person anymore. We need to see everybody. So even though I do not support his candidacy, I would like to see him on that debate stage, along with everybody else as well. I mean, Cornel West, I would love to see him up there. And I think he's got great things to say too, by the way. But again, it's a very weird situation. I don't know why Bobby decided to do this now, but when his campaign flames out, I imagine that with this new following he's got, he's probably going to do something like go and start a media company or whatever, something to stay in the spotlight and use this newfound national platform to his advantage. And I think that's, at the end of the day, what this has really all been about.
Yeah, I am curious to see what he's going to do after this whole election cycle, because he's been relevant for the past few years because he's been challenging both Biden and Trump on a lot of different issues. And he has his very own, very special, weird niche of followers that he's gathered over the years. But back in the day, whenever you would have a presidential candidate, if they lost, they would kind of just fade into the distance. They'd fade into the background, they'd go away. But today, it's a very, very different landscape. We have social media. We have all kinds of other types of media. Usually they go on, they become talking heads on Fox News or Newsmax or wherever, or they get a position in the White House, right? I don't know if that's RFK Jr.'s plan, considering he's technically an independent. But it's like what you were saying. If he used to be a progressive at one point, he doesn't really seem to know where he is today, where he falls on that political spectrum. And to your point, maybe that is something valuable that could be on a debate stage. We already know Biden and Trump. We know them. We need more people up on these stages to kind of shake things up, even if in just a discussion kind of way, just to get some new ideas out there, because we already know all of the talking points that they're going to say. So any final thoughts you want to give before we go to break?
No, and I do think, well, I guess yes, but I do think it is important for people to really, have these choices. I think at this point, a lot of the country does have their minds made up, but opening up the debate stage, excuse me, is not just about having Bobby up there, having Cornel West up there. It's about setting that precedent. So in 2028, maybe we can have 4 or 5 people up there. We gotta break into it at some point and allow more than just the blue party and the red party to have the center stage. People need better options. They need more options than what we've got right now. And that's what I was really hoping would happen, with that this would just kind of open the door for the future, but it hasn't done that at all. And this is what we got now.
When you click the join button and become a tier 2 member, you get access to all of our weekly top 10 lists. What are you waiting for?